If you really think about it, it was all a big setup from the start. Think about this. When you're born into this world, your parents have to make a big decision, right? The way the world is set up now, you can't have a parent that stays home. Most of the parents have to, well, both parents have to work just to make everything work out, right? So with this, you're newly born. If you got a corporate job, you might get 2 months off for maternity leave, right? But other than that, in America, you have to separate from your child, excuse me. So when you separate from your child, that means the child is now going to be in daycare, which the separation from their child creates a disconnect from the bond of parent and child, right? Well, let's just say they get used to that, right? Because this is all a big setup. Keep in mind, this is a setup. So they know that the child and parent are eventually going to conform to that separation and get used to it, right? So once they get used to it, now think about what that does to that bond. If you really, really think about it. And I'm only speaking from my personal experience, but I know a lot of other parents have it as well. The parent might be questioning, am I doing the right thing by working and having somebody else teach my child? Once they're of age, now there's another separation. They're going to school, right? So now not only are they learning somebody from somebody else's point of view, they're also dealing with the separation even more. And the other thing about school is it's teaching them conformity, right? It's teaching the child how to conform to the rules and regulations of society. School is also one of those segues into either the prison pipeline or the collegiate pipeline. Or, I mean, some people just go straight to work. I'm not going to say that you have to go to college, especially at this day and age. We see it time and time again of people being successful. But the thing in which we've all been brainwashed is that we had to go to college, especially in my time of being in school. You had to go to college to get a degree to be able to work in the corporate world. And then even once you got that bachelor's degree, the goal line kept getting moved. The goalpost, excuse me, kept getting moved to now you need a master's degree. These things all create this debt that you shouldn't have to deal with, right? Whether it's a debt from a car, debt from student loans that some people are dealing with, or excuse me, a lot of people are dealing with, um, of the debt of a trade. Even though now you got trades that will, people companies will teach you how to do HVAC and that things, and they'll take care of it, but you might have to sign a contract for a year or something of that nature. But it all leads to the next thing, which is a buildup of with this debt. Now you know you have to work to pay off that debt. And this is a 5 days a week type thing. This is the big trap. This is when you're working 5 days a week. Now you're dealing with 40 hours every week and 2 days off. And really, you only got one day off because on that Sunday, you're going to start thinking about work on that following Monday. So you pretty much on Sunday trying to relax, but you're stressed out about the upcoming week. Then you're dealing with things like taxes on not only your income that's coming in, but the taxes on property, the taxes on your house that you get that has a 30-year mortgage. Even if you get aggressive and pay it off in 50 years, think about this. You're never going to own that house. Regardless if you are smart enough to put it in a trust and things of that nature, you got to now think about your family in the future. Make one bad slip up or get into a bind with money, they're going to end up selling it. But technically, even if you pay that house off, you're going to be dealing with what if you get 60 years old, 65 years old, and you can't pay the property tax? Now the government owns it. It's just a big scam. And not to mention, a lot of people been working for 40 years. And this is something that really opened my eyes about the big trap after losing my mom and watching some of the things that I had to do for my father. A lot of people might work 40 plus years, right? And they're dependent on retirement and Social Security when they do their exit strategy. But the difficulties that they have when applying for Social Security is ridiculous. And just think if they don't have anybody else to help them go through it, because most of the stuff that I had to do for my dad, I had to do it online. Most people are not privy and knowledgeable of how to use a computer at that age. And then if you have to go into the actual facility, you got to wait in these long lines. You got to think about these people are 65 plus trying to get something that they paid into, not trying to get a handout. This is something that they paid into, and they're struggling to get it done quickly because of all the paperwork and things that are tied to it. And then once they finally do get it, let's say you're 65, you live 75, 80, whatever the number is. I'm not wishing death on anybody at an early age or whatever, but the cycle just starts all the way over again. This is the big setup. This is the big trap that we all fall into. And if you really look from a spiritual angle, these are the things that suck the energy and life force out of you, which have you operating in a lower chakra than where you want to be in order to manifest and live the best life on this physical realm.